She stated that she was able to hold her breath at one point for 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Hello and welcome to Oscar Underwater, where we take a look at the history, art, and practice of underwater filmmaking. Today we got some industry news. The major motion picture Avatar has a sequel that has yet to be released. We've all waited so many years, but James Cameron, a perfectionist, has always maintained that he wants it to look the way he wants it to look. Well, anyways, he's been filming for the last almost 2 years down in New Zealand in a 900,000 gallon tank. Why does he need a 900,000 gallon tank? Because apparently Avatar 2 takes place mostly underwater, much to the chagrin of his cast and crew, I'm sure, because as you know,
there's no such thing as an easy shot underwater. Of course, I've always felt there's no such thing as an easy shot, but underwater, multiply that by 1,000.
Now, as we know, James Cameron's work always blows our minds, and Avatar 2 stands to do the same. I mean, this thing is going to apparently change the way that all future underwater movies are made. He's always leading the state-of-the-art technology in filmmaking, and he takes that underwater with him, and you can expect more badassery from him, right? In the photo that we see Kate gloriously walking on the bottom of what I'm assuming is the 900,000 gallon tank, which was set up in New Zealand. You can see those dive weights right there around her ankles, and a weight belt, but they're all sort of in that same color with that outfit, in which I believe helps the special effects animation people to do their thing in post. Now, we've seen from the other films and the first Avatar that some of the stuff is shot with the animation already sort of over the actors' characters, that they can look instantly in playback, and when they shoot the world that they are in, you can turn the camera wherever you want, and you're going to see this world that you're in. So it's an amazing technology that we've seen from Avatar 1. I'm assuming he's going to be doing more. So we see Kate Winslet here with these wings, and she's walking along the floor. Now, she's actually been interviewed since the photo was released, because of course everyone was amazed that she was just walking there without any kind of scuba gear, a regulator in her mouth to breathe. She's got the nose clip on her nose there, which helps to, control. You don't have to worry about sucking anything in through your nose, sucking any water in, and then you just hold your breath. So apparently James Cameron had them train with free divers, which there's a lot of breath control in free diving, which means you learn a lot of Zen type of techniques to calm yourself down so that you're not breathing heavily if you are on air. If you're not on air, then you can hold your breath much longer if you learn how to relax. And apparently this is exactly what Kate Winslet did. She stated that she was able to hold her breath at one point for 7 minutes and 14 seconds. I didn't even know that was possible. And she apparently has beat Tom Cruise's record, who held it for 6 minutes in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. So you see her here walking along the floor. She's held down by the weights. What I really like about this photo is how calm everything is. If you've seen any of the other behind-the-scenes footage of James Cameron's films like The Abyss and Titanic, you're quickly aware that they were incredibly difficult shoots. This photo here seems to have a little bit more control, in a sense that it's nice. And now we can't see the rest of the crew, of course, but you do see the two safety divers there on the left, and they have a long hose with the regulator, which I'm assuming just connects to air somewhere else, where they don't have to worry about changing out tanks. So they can constantly do this with these, I believe they call them hookah lines, and breathe in air. So the safety diver simply has to have the hose there, and the actor can concentrate on not worrying about whether there's going to be air in the tank, etc. And at the same time, with her being able to hold her breath that long, she's able to do these scenes completely, right? This is part of the movie magic dynamic, in where if you can keep the camera, so if the underwater cinematographer is able to follow her and get his different shots all in one take, and she's holding her breath for up to 7 minutes, then it helps that whole, the movie going experience. The willing suspension of disbelief is definitely helped when your actor stays in the shot for as long as possible without cutting away. So this is definitely an advancement in just the the idea that you can hold your breath longer, you can have your air readily available without ever worrying about, running out of air. She says that this scene in particular is her walking in a ceremonial sequence for the film with these huge heavy wings. So it's pretty interesting that we're able to take, sorry, not we, James Cameron is able to take the technology and the advancement, the state of the art technology, take it underwater, because he's such an expert at it now that it's probably becoming second nature to him, which is what Kate Winslet also goes on to say about him, that he's definitely more relaxed, he's definitely more confident in his ability to do the work beneath the surface, which is such a tough thing to do. And the other thing is, here's another photo that was released a little bit earlier with the rest of the cast, and what I'm showing you here is the little plastic balls that are atop the tank here. So James Cameron figured out in The Abyss that without anything covering the top of the pool, you get the reflective mirror-like quality, which doesn't necessarily help for filmmaking, because you might get reflections, you might get extra light that you're not looking for, so you kind of have to cover that up. The other thing too is, if your light is supposed to be dark in the ocean like in The Abyss, any light that's coming through the above water, they have to fight. So he had to figure out a way to cover that. You can't put a tarp over a tank like this, because if there's an emergency, people have to be able to shoot up to the surface and come out. So a tarp was definitely a safety hazard. So he came up with putting all these little plastic balls that would just basically form this barrier on the surface. In The Abyss, they had these little black balls that came in the millions apparently, and they covered it and they got kind of goopy. You'll see in some of the behind the scenes from the Abyss that this stuff started just kind of getting everywhere.
All of us, I'm sure, have somewhere tucked deep in the folds of our bodies still to this day.
So that was the interesting thing too, where even that little advancement is that you see that these are bigger, clearer. I'm assuming that this helps them control the light the way that they wanted to, right? Because they are somewhat translucent. But your divers, your actors, your crew can all still shoot up to the surface and break the water surface if they need to and remain safe. So it's those little things that I like to look at in the Avatar 2 stuff, because you can see where the advancement is if you are familiar with James's previous work. Hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more. There is one more photograph here of somebody on a scooter, some kind of underwater scooter, which is pretty awesome. And the fact that all of this is going to be covered up with the amazing Avatar animation, for the creatures or the vehicles or the actors themselves. But just to see the fact that he can do this while shooting underwater is amazing, and hopefully just makes it easier for any other films that will be filmed in the future for underwater cinematographers to really get in there and start shooting a lot more than they ever could before, due to all the restrictions of shooting underwater. So we're looking forward to this release in 2022, but I'm looking forward to any other images or even hopefully video someday of these behind the scenes, because since this movie happens to take place mostly underwater, I'm hoping that means that most of that stuff will be underwater stuff, and we can talk about it and look at it and enjoy it and hopefully see more. Irregardless, I am looking forward to the release in December 2022 and everything that leads up to it. Thank you for watching, and please join me again on Oscar Underwater.